I'm Michael Jensen, and this is my persuasive speech. When it comes to underage drinking and driving, it's always going to be a touchy subject for our society, no matter how many years are going to be coming about it. I'm not going to sit up here and preach to you about how I think underage drinking is good or drinking and driving is good, but I will sit up here and preach to you about how I believe that the age of 18 has just as much responsibility to drink than you do at 21. When the United States got rid of booze completely from the Prohibition, what happened? They got more and more underground societies to be able to find the booze and people to make it for them. And it's just inevitable for people to be drinking regardless, no matter how old you are or what time of age it is in America. Underage drinking will always be inevitable. They always think it is cool, and when you're a teenager you have the mentality of I can do absolutely anything. But it's really not cool until you have the proper age and the right mentality to do it. I believe that 18 should be the legal drinking limit under 3 circumstances. Number 1, that underage drinking is inevitable. Number 2, other countries have much better ways around the drinking age, like Europe. And my last one is, what does a 21-year-old person really do to benefit other than an 18-year-old? So to my main point about underage drinking is inevitable. According to a 1979 article from Massachusetts, which is the year that they changed the drinking level back to 18, stated that 59% of teenagers, regardless of age, still found ways to get alcohol. And another article I read about from First Eagle stated that 70% of underage kids are drinking anyway. So what's the really big problem with it if kids are already drinking? And by 18, you're able to go to war, you're able to buy a car, you're able to get married, buy an apartment. There's a lot of responsibility with it regardless. But you can't come back from Afghanistan at the age of 19 to have a beer with your family. I don't believe I don't agree with that at all. I can understand where everyone believes that 18 is not the proper age because of you don't believe, or you don't understand the repercussions of drinking because you're not taught the right way. If we have sex ed classes that teach us about sex, we don't have an outbreak of AIDS, and we don't have anything teaching us about the repercussions of drinking regardless. We have a problem with drinking and driving, and we're not teaching anyone about it. That's why I believe there's alternatives around every hard problem, because if we teach the kids at a younger age, then they'll understand what's right or wrong. The United States is worried about drinking and driving, but what's really the right age to be considered inappropriate rates of drinking and driving? Every statistic will show the worst part about 16-year-olds drinking and driving, but they don't see the 50-year-olds that are still drinking and driving. And they believe that 21 is the proper age and matured age for drinking. But they're still drinking and driving even if you're 50. And that's why if you're able to get married and all that other stuff and you're not able to get a beer, I don't agree with it. So that comes to my second point about other countries solving this problem. In Europe, from an article from Washington Post that I read, stated that in Europe you're able to drink at 16 and you're able to legally drive at 18. And I think that is the clear-cut picture right there that defeat the drinking and driving problem. Because if you're able to learn how to drink, and you have 2 years to learn how to drink, and you understand what it does to you, and by 18, you see the problem of you're not going to be able to get in a car. So if the United States decided to change it like that, it would be a complete outbreak because we're able to drive at 14 in a lot of states. But if they found a different alternative to it, like driving at even 17 and drinking it at 16, or driving and drinking at 18, that's something. You gotta figure it out. Drinking and driving is never a good idea, but there are a lot of different alternatives, like Europe. It would be hard here. The U.S. Department of Justice stated that with every good problem, or with every good idea, there's always a huge problem. And Europe's problem is they're able to drink at 16, so that means 13-year-olds are getting alcohol from the 16-year-olds and younger than that. But is that really the problem that they're having over there? Because if there's underage drinking, they're not even close to driving. And their parents are teaching them proper ways to do it. Because I've seen from a bunch of different movies, when Americans go overseas to Germany, they're just getting absolutely wasted. And locals are having a social beer all the time and not trying to forget the rest of the night. If the parents are teaching them the proper way, why aren't our parents teaching us the proper way, or the school system teaching us the proper way? There's a lot of alternatives around it. There's a way to solve every hard problem. And I don't believe that 16 is the age to be drinking like Europe does, but I believe that 18 still could be a possibility because you already are matured enough to be doing this. And that comes to my last point of what is the age 21 really doing for the underage consumption anyway? When people look at statistics, they always look at the hard facts. And they always look at what's happening to 18-year-olds drinking and driving, and they look at the even 12-year-olds. There's one statistic for there's like 3% 12-year-olds are getting DUIs. But the legislation of traffic safety said that the minimum drinking level delays fatalities. So at 21, they're delaying the fatality rate. So if they're delaying it, they already know that it's going to happen. And it just shows that if you changed it to 18, then there's still going to be DUIs and fatalities. And that's the reason why America changed it to 21, because they decreased the fatality rate. But yeah, that makes sense, because you're underage, you're going to be more scared to drink and drive. But when you're 21, you're like, yeah, I'm 21, I can drive all I want. So no one really knows the real mature age for doing any of this. And that's pretty much telling, from that statement earlier, that's pretty much telling us that that's, regardless, is going to happen. And it's going to happen, and people are stupid about it. There was an article I read about the percentages of how kids get the alcohol and how kids are, at what age are drinking it. The article from the Century Council stated that 55% of 20-year-olds are drinking anyway. And that's over half the 20-year-olds in America. And then it also said that 65% of them are getting the alcohol from their friends and family. So they're getting the alcohol. Why can't we just change it to make it back to 18? No matter how illegal it's going to be, it's still going to happen. Alcohol, I don't want to look at the bad facts of it. 18-year-olds have a lot of responsibility, and I believe that if we taught the people the right way, taught the kids the right way in our school systems, then I believe that 18 should be the proper age.